My name is Laura Rabin. I'm a public information officer assigned to both fires. I'm going to start out by giving you some updated information about each fire. We'll start with the McBride fire. The McBride fire is currently 5,736 acres and is still 0% contained at this time. We are now confirming that 207 homes have been lost during the course of this fire. That does not include additional outbuilding structures like barns or sheds. Those are primary residents. We are also confirming at this time that there have been 2 fatalities related to the McBride fire. All evacuations from the McBride fire remain in place. Firefighters have successfully held the fire from moving further into the town of Ruidoso at this time. Winds are continuing to push this fire to the northeast towards the airport. The fire has now reached Eagle Creek Canyon Road in Alto, New Mexico. A Type 1 incident management team did take command of the McBride and the Nogal Canyon fires at 6 o'clock this morning. Moving to the Nogal Canyon fire. The Nogal Canyon fire is now 345 acres. 6 homes and 8 outbuildings were destroyed during the course of the Nogal Canyon fire, and the fire is now 4% contained. Again, Nogal Canyon still remains under evacuation notices as well. At this time, I would like to introduce Carrie Gladden with the Village of Ruidoso, who's standing next to me, and she will be addressing the 2 fatalities related to the McBride fire at this time.
Good morning. Because this is still an active investigation, we do not have a lot of information to report on the 2 fatalities. Basically, what we have put out up to this point is that on April 12th, about 2:30, local firefighters responded to a structure fire at 539 Gavilan Canyon Road in Ruidoso. Later that evening, the Ruidoso Police Department received information that an elderly couple was missing and their family members couldn't find them. Yesterday, RPD detectives and the New Mexico State Police Investigations Bureau, working together with the Bonita Volunteer Fire Department, located the remains of those 2 individuals. Right now, the investigation is still ongoing. The New Mexico State Police are working with the Office of the Medical Examiner, or investigator, to positively identify those victims. So that's what we do know about that part of this at the moment, and we'll stand for some questions afterwards. With regards to evacuations, the evacuations are still in place that have been in place up to this point. Moon Mountain area, east of Hull, Homestead Acres, Rancho Ruidoso Valley Estates, which includes Deer Valley, Deer Park, and Alto, east of the Flute Player. Yesterday afternoon, many of you were here with us when we added to that the area on the other side of Gavilan Canyon Road when we had the fire jump. And the crews were able to contain that. It did not cross Gavilan Canyon up here on the, I guess it would be kind of the south side. It did not cross onto Sutterth. It did not cross onto Meander. So crews were able to maintain that line, and there's a large swath there of mobile home parks and RV parks, and none of those came into play, and we did not lose any structures there. And now I'm going to turn it over to Dave Bales. He's the incident commander that took over this morning at 6.
Good morning, everybody. Again, my name's Dave Bales. I'm the incident commander for Southwest Team 2. And as you've heard, we assumed command this morning at 0600. Yesterday, our team started to transition with all the local first responders, fire departments, sheriff, PD, and I really appreciate all of their efforts. They've done a fantastic job here. Without their support, I mean, we've heard about the home loss. It would have been much worse without their efforts. So our team coming in, transitioning with them, say we're going to bring the full availability of all our aviation and ground resources to fully suppress both the McBride and Nogal Canyon fires. So today's a better day for winds, as you guys can see. So we'll be flying a lot of aircraft today and getting more resources in. And Type 1 Incident Management Team, we come with a full range of operational folks, planning folks. logistics, finance, things that can support the firefighters on boots on the ground as well as the local community. So again, a huge shout out to the local community here. Also New Mexico State, the U.S. Forest Service, Bureau of Land Management, Lincoln County Sheriff's Department, PD, Village of Ruidoso Fire Department, without all their efforts and helping set us up for success moving forward today. So thank you. Glad to be here, and we hope to do the best we can and get these fires out as quickly as possible.
Thank you guys for coming. At this time, I will open it up for question and answers. Please raise your hand and wait to be called.
So yesterday we had 8 aircraft. How many aircraft will be making drops today?
Yeah, I'm going to ask Dave to take that one.
So we'll have the same complement of aircraft that we had yesterday, and we're continuing to get more. We have Type 1 helicopters, Type 2 helicopters. We also have the large air tanker and VLAT as well. So both coming out of Alamogordo Air Tanker Base and Roswell Air Tanker Base. And then our helicopters are scattered throughout the area to support Canyon and McBride Fire Resources. So.
About how many people are fighting the fires, and are you asking for more help to the state?
So currently we have around 250 people, and realize a lot of these folks have been fighting fire for nonstop for about 2 days. So we're trying to get those folks rest. We've ordered in a large contingent of resources to come into us, so they're traveling from all over the country right now to come in. So when our ICP is at the Ruidoso Downs racetrack. When I left there just a few minutes ago, lots of folks were pouring in, engines, things like that. So we're getting a lot of support to get out on the lines now.
Yes, sir.
Can you just talk more about your strategy for fighting the fire today based on the conditions that you're seeing and where it's heading?
So the question for everybody was to talk a little bit about the strategy for suppressing this fire.
So yeah, our strategy is a full suppression strategy, which means put the fire out at the smallest possible areas. So when the winds are super high, we cannot fly a lot of our air tankers and helicopters, but using aviation resources, we have to follow them up with ground resources. So we'll bring in air tankers, helicopters doing bucket drops, and then we follow that up with our hotshot crews, our engine crews, right along the Black's Edge. So we're trying to keep this fire as small as possible, especially it's right within the communities, as you have all seen, right? We've had a loss of a lot of structures here, so our crews are right there on the fire front, going as direct as possible to suppress these fires as small as possible.
The wind is obviously down today. Humidity's still low, and I know that's a challenge when fighting. How do you plan on combating the humidity levels while out there?
Well, the biggest thing is keeping our folks hydrated, right, and getting water into the areas. So, right, the winds are calm this morning. We are expecting red flags again today, and tomorrow is even a more of a fire weather watch for us. We're expecting higher winds, higher temperature, lower RHs. So, again, it's just attack while we can, use the aviation resources, why we have the air to do that, and then follow up with those ground resources as direct as possible.
Do you guys anticipate any other areas to be evacuated today, or?
At this time, I don't know any. We're going to have to see how the fire continues to progress. Again, I think our local initial attack and the local Type 3 teams, they've done a fantastic job. They've set us for success. We've got dozer lines, hand lines, areas that they're able to pick up today and continuing to make progress. So we hope not to, but if we have to, we will.
Did you give an update on the people that have been evacuated in the past couple of days?
I don't have much of an update for them. I know there's some evacuation centers that some folks are at, so if there's evacuation centers.
We have all the people that have been evacuated or displaced from their homes. We have the Ruidoso Convention Center, which is open as a shelter, and then we also have been working with hotels in the area to get anybody that needs housing for the time being placed.
Do you have an update on how many more people were evacuated, or?
I'd say yesterday we were thinking up to yesterday it was about 4,000, and probably yesterday with the additional evacuation it was probably 4,500. Gabe?
Will we actually get an escort today to see just the aftermath of what's
We do understand that you guys would like to get out there on the fire line with us. We just want to make sure that we can do that in a safe manner and that we're not also hindering fire suppression activities. You know, that's obviously our number one priority is our firefighting crews and making sure that they're able to do their jobs. So we'll work on that as best we can. Yes, sir.
What kind, are you getting good participation of folks following evacuation orders, or are there a lot of people staying behind?
Yeah, we have seen a lot of people follow the evacuation orders. Obviously, that's our recommendation, and our professional advice is that if there is an evacuation order, that people please heed that evacuation order. We understand and are sympathetic to the fact that people want to be in their homes, they want to go home, but we don't want to let people back in their home before it's safe to do so.
So this couple that died yesterday, so they were trying to evacuate and they couldn't. So there are people still there in that road trying to evacuate, or?
So what we can say is that the area where the deceased were found was under an evacuation notice. As to the details of what their decision making was, you know, we unfortunately don't know the details of that right now.
Are there any law enforcement patrols happening around the evacuated areas to prevent looting and such?
The question was, are there patrols going on around the evacuation areas? Yes, we do have cooperation from numerous law enforcement agencies that are working in conjunction with each other to put up roadblocks and patrol the areas that have been evacuated.
We heard reports that the fire was heading toward the airport. Is that still a concern?
Yes, the question was, is the fire still heading towards the airport? Yes, this fire is moving in a northeastern direction. To be clear, it has not reached the airport yet, but it is heading in that direction. This is a wind-driven fire primarily. Right now, obviously, the winds are much lower than they have been over the last couple of days. However, this afternoon, we are expecting gusts up to 30 miles an hour again. This part of the state, this town specifically, can get very windy in the spring. So while 30 miles an hour might not seem like a lot when you add fire to that equation, it can definitely quickly spread fire.
The 0% contained has been there for multiple days now. How do you guys determine that percentage?
The question is, how do we determine percent contained? So percent contained is when fire crews are able to get in and establish fire line, and that they feel confident that that fire line will continue to hold for the long term. That being said, obviously the goal with this fire is to get to 100% containment and then 100% controlled fire, and we're hoping to make progress on that front as soon as we can. Yes?
I do have questions about the hotshot crews that are here. I know that there was a 20-person crew from Phoenix that was moved from Belen to Ruidoso last night. So how many hotshot crews are here and where are they coming from?
We have multiple hotshot crews that are assigned to this fire. I think, Dave, 4?
About 5, right?
5. We have 5 hotshot crews. We have more that have been ordered who will hopefully be able to join us as soon as possible. They are coming from across the state, and some are actually coming from other states as well to join us.
Sorry, I also know that there was a Type 1 heavy helo that also came from Belen yesterday. How many heavy helo of the 2,500 helicopters?
I believe we have 2, in addition to the other aircraft that we have. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Have a good day.
The latest update from fire officials there in Ruidoso saying that the McBride fire is now 5,736 acres in size. It remains 0% contained. And they have confirmed today that 207 homes have been destroyed in this fire. We originally knew that there was 150 homes that had been, or 150 structures rather, that had been destroyed in this, but now we do know that number to be as 207. It looks like there is an interview happening there with the Lincoln County Sheriff that it sounds like our crews might be speaking to here, and as soon as I hear them start a conversation and try to frame things up, I will maybe transition over to that interview. This is now day 3 of this fire here in, again, Ruidoso. Right in the city is where this all first started, and that fire is moving northeast toward the airport. The good news yesterday was that essentially crews were able to, after that emergency evacuation that happened yesterday afternoon, it sounds like crews were able to keep a good control and lines in the area where that fire was. And again, that was Gavilan Canyon Road that was evacuated around 4:30 yesterday. That road runs north-south, and it's in an area behind a McDonald's, or essentially north of a McDonald's. So that area got evacuated yesterday. About 500 people were described to be in that area. So the city estimates now there's about 4,500 people that have been evacuated from homes. It sounds like with that evacuation yesterday, though, the good news was that there's a lot of mobile home parks in that area. There was no loss in structure, it sounds like, in those areas. The fire was not able to cross Sedurth or Meander roads. The video you're getting a look at here on the side of your screen is aerial footage from Sky News 13 that we did capture this morning. You can clearly see the area socked in with a lot of smoke. It was really hard for our crews to be able to see through the haze right now to just see how badly things have been damaged. So the views from above are definitely a little bit more opaque, I suppose you could say, than some of the video that we are seeing from the ground. And from the ground, our reporter Gabe Chavez, who has been out there since this started on Tuesday, he was able to shoot this video on his cell phone here today, and I want to put it up full screen so that you can see this. This is near Ruidoso Middle School. Gabe, again, shooting this video here today. You can see that is clearly a home that was destroyed in this fire. The pan down the hillside here, you will see just how much damage is down there. The amount of scorched trees, and that building right there, that's Ruidoso Middle School. You can see some of those trees are just completely charred from the fire that ripped through that area. And it clearly, as we saw from some of the visuals that were shared first thing on Tuesday, this fire burned right up to the Ruidoso Middle School. So pretty amazing. That entire facility is not harmed. It remains a undamaged structure in the middle of this wildfire that really just ripped through parts of Ruidoso here on Tuesday. So again, this video coming from Gabe Chavez. He shot this today before this news conference here this morning, and we thought we would share that with you just to give you another look at just some of the damage that has happened on the ground. Back to some of the just statistics from this. Again, 207 homes destroyed. Clearly, where Gabe shot that video, that is one of them. Mandatory evacuations continue for a lot of areas in Ruidoso. A Type 1 team is also now in control of this fire. They took control this morning, and they are calling in resources from all over the place, primarily Arizona, but all over the place, to help fight this McBride fire, which, if we are looking at the acreage, it has not grown quite as much as I think the initial fears were that it would grow, that this fire would grow. But again, that's the reality, but the fear that is out there is certainly palpable amongst a lot of the firefighters, people in the community, because, you know, the wind's blowing the wrong direction or picking up to be a more a faster wind, if you will, than what is expected even here, what's happening here this morning, what's happened here yesterday, and what's maybe going to even happen this afternoon. If it's any faster, really, getting up to those areas of 60 to 90 miles per hour as it was seen on Tuesday, that's where the threat really comes into play with this fire. I should update you. Our live feed from Ruidoso did cut out, so our reporters are getting over to work there. We're not going to be able to hear from the folks they were trying to interview there, which I believe was the Lincoln County Sheriff. But we will have that coverage, of course, on KRQE.com a little bit later once Gabe gets a chance to put his stories together, and also on air on KRQE News 13 at noon, 4 and 5:30. So again, the footage you're seeing here today, aerials from Sky News 13. We shot these earlier this morning. You can see just some of the destruction, but a lot of the video is pretty hazy, so it's really hard to get that crisp color to be able to tell what is actually charred black stuff and what is actually just that green, that deep green color that you're used to seeing out there in the forest areas of the Lincoln National Forest. So the other thing I should mention that we did learn here late last night, and that's sort of the news that's getting out here this morning, as we put on the graphic here, 2 people have been determined to have been killed as a result of this McBride fire. This fire, as we understand, caused very fast evacuations. Again, as I had mentioned, just how quickly things whipped through the Ruidoso area. This death investigation that is happening now involves an elderly couple. They have not been identified by their names, but it is a small community. I'm sure many people out there believe they probably know who these folks are. They have not been identified officially on the record yet by the police agencies. An elderly couple is all that state police said. They were found in a home along Gavilan Canyon Road, and that investigation as to exactly sort of how things played out continues. But certainly a sad situation here, and the amount of property loss that's happened here is certainly remarkable, and now 2 people being confirmed dead from the fire it just even makes this a lot more heart-wrenching for folks in the community and around New Mexico. I mentioned just how quickly this fire started, and I did want to bring up some of this video again from Tuesday, just showing how fast those winds were blowing. They were seeing gusts of 60 to 90 miles an hour, and obviously, yeah, you can see just how much that wind was blowing, that smoke and those flames almost completely horizontal. Pretty incredible sort of wind event that helped kick this off. One of the things where the wind also played a major factor was power, and PNM has been working over the last few days to try to restore power to many of the residents. They shut down power to about 18,000 or close to 19,000 customers on Tuesday. By yesterday, they had restored power to about half of that amount, and today we understand that the number is even lower. And so I wanted to put up this on screen for you here. This is a tweet from PNM, and I just want to blow it up a little bit larger before I put it on screen here for you. But this is a tweet from PNM that was sent out here today. Ruidoso outage update. PNM crews were able to make more headway overnight and restored power for thousands more customers. Power restoring efforts continue for the remaining, they say, 5,000 customers that are still without power. The snowcap area experienced heavy damage. So this is what PNM was talking about in terms of the what's taking so long to get power back. It's really the fact that it wasn't just destruction or damage from the fire. It was really the fact that the wind blew through so hard and damaged a lot of the utilities infrastructure out there in Ruidoso. So I can put up this a little bit larger here for you on screen so you can get a slightly better look at that photo there. But essentially, you can see that's a power pole that the top of it is just cracked right off. And with a transformer attached to it, the lines obviously still attached to it, certainly presents a problem, especially when it's that close to trees. PNM also provided this photo. You can clearly see, again, another snapped off power pole with lines just straight up on the ground, which is never a good thing, especially in the dry fire season. This is a photo of PNM and their crews that were all sent out there to work and help rebuild that electrical infrastructure that got toppled yesterday. And this is a still shot of actually some video of crews doing that work that was uploaded yesterday. So PNM again saying that it is making headway. That's one of 4 tweets there. They say crews are patrolling, making needed repairs, and re-energizing once it is safe to do so. So if you need to charge phones, devices, maybe you're watching this on a phone and your battery's getting low, you can go to the Ruidoso Convention Center. You can also go to the Lincoln County Medical Center for medical treatment as well. Crews and first responders, essentially 60 crew members from that safety meeting you saw in that photo there. That's how many people are out there working on things. And of course, the next update, PNM says, will be at 11 a.m. So that's the latest on the power situation. Again, just taking a look at some of those photos, it is pretty remarkable to see just what the storm did. This is all damage from the wind. Again, keep in mind, power poles just snapped off, broken in half. And those are the guys that are making sure that it all gets fixed up here. So again, we're taking a look over at some old video here. This happened from yesterday. And one of the things, the elements to note in this was that, you know, crews were able to do some, oh, actually, I'm sorry. This is actually a live picture that's coming in here right now of one of the nearby roadblocks. So to get over to some of the video that I was mentioning just a little bit earlier, one of the clips in here I did want to share with you was just sort of the look over at the I apologize. I'm losing my train of thought here, but a look over essentially at the fire itself and some of the work that happened actually yesterday. And so looking at that work that happened yesterday, just kind of putting it up. The wind has actually been a lot calmer this morning. It has been more cooperative this morning. So crews are expecting to get a lot more of that air resource activity happening today. They had to shut things down. It sounded like late morning yesterday. So this morning, they're hoping to get a little bit more done. The wind certainly was calmer out there. You didn't hear it blowing into the microphones. But by this afternoon, they are expecting more wind to keep pushing this fire towards the north and northeast. The wind gusts that they are expecting there on the ground today could be about 30 miles per hour from what fire crews were saying here today. So again, you just can see how destructive this fire has been. This being some video here from our folks over on scene in Ruidoso, shot today here by Gabe Chavez. You can see all of those scorched trees out there. Pretty amazing to just see how quickly this fire ripped through the Ruidoso area. A quick recap again for you here. 5,736 acres. It is 0% contained. 2 people have been determined to have been killed by this fire. 207 homes destroyed. Mandatory evacuations continue. Those evacuations are happening in areas that essentially were evacuated on Tuesday when this thing sprung up. So that includes areas like Moon Mountain, High Loop, Lupin, Starlight, Gavilan Canyon from Highway 70 to Lower Eagle Creek, east of Hull, McBride, Snowcap, Timberline, Fawn Ridge Roads, etc. Homestead Acres, Lower Eagle Creek, Rancho Ruidoso Valley Estates, Deer Valley, Deer Park, and Alto east of Flute Player. So all of those places are being asked to evacuate. Most people, it sounds like, have found hotel rooms, but the Ruidoso Convention Center remains open for those who maybe do not have a place to go. Now, there was a map that was uploaded yesterday to the Village of Ruidoso's website here as well, or rather their Facebook page, and I did want to share that map here with you just so you can see a little bit of what fire managers were working with. This was first done yesterday. So it does not include some of the new areas that essentially were told to evacuate. You can see essentially that evacuated areas, that's the message here. It is really on the north and eastern edges of Ruidoso. And so a lot of properties in here. You can see all of these roads, Timberline, Snowcap, Snowbird. If I zoom in a little bit more, because I know it's a little small for you guys to see if you're watching this on a cell phone. But McBride, that's essentially the area. This part right here, where my mouse cursor is kind of circling, Warrior and McBride, that's essentially the area of where the fire started, and it moved on north essentially from there, threatening a lot of these homes. So all of this area has essentially been evacuated. Anything east of the black line here that you're seeing in that message that says evacuated areas. Yesterday, one of the areas of concern was essentially this part right down in here. Meander, Sidurth, Paradise Canyon, those areas essentially along the highway north of this McDonald's. It's essentially right in this area right here. Those were the areas that were essentially under threat yesterday and being told to evacuate because of the nature of how fast the winds were blowing yesterday and where the fire was moving. It sounds like crews were able to really hold the fire in areas, protect property from more property from being damaged. But as we do know, again, 207 homes have been destroyed in this. Taking a live look as well one more time from our router, that's our in-house name for it, but this is being a live look at some of the pictures being fed back to us. So recorded a little bit earlier, but our feed of recorded video, that's what I mean is live here. So the pictures you're looking at here, right here, are from Gabe Chavez and also our photographer Chris Dillon. They have been there since Tuesday night. They have been working on this, and you can see just, some of the damage that has happened here. Homes destroyed, clearly a destructive event for many in Ruidoso. Again, 207 homes have been thought to be destroyed. That is an increase in that sort of total number from 150. We know originally the number was 150 structures that have been destroyed. So our photographer Chris has given us a look at just one of these homes that was knocked down. These again are recorded pictures, but recorded from earlier this morning. This video is being fed back, and you're listening to me narrate live over the playback of this video. So the big question here today is, what will the wind do? Is it going to be as problematic as it was over the last couple days? Things did calm down yesterday, but the question, I guess, is, whether or not the wind will be a factor here today. As we did see from some of our images of Sky News 13 a little bit earlier, you can clearly see very hazy area. The winds, again, though, calm enough this morning for our helicopter to take flight. Usually when it is windy, you can really see those trees blowing around. But even in some of this ground video that has been shot here this morning, clearly you can see it is pretty still out there this morning. So more air resources are expected to get up there, help fight this fire along with the now in command Type 1 incident team that is basically working now to pour more resources into the area and more people on the ground helping figure things out. So as you can see, though, obviously the fire again has destroyed quite a few homes, a lot of property in Ruidoso.